Hello guys. So today has been a great day. I just came back from work and I'm quite exhausted, but I thought I should do this quick video and give my take on an issue that has been prevalent in the nursing space, especially in the realm of patient to nurse interactions. And today was a good day at work overall. I would say it was a wonderful day. I mean, I had some patients who were particularly nice, and one of them stood out. And I would say that my interactions with that patient will be the basis of this whole video. So, these patients, when you have an experience with a patient who is very happy about your work and they won't stop singing your praises, that was the experience I had today. So I had this patient who kept saying she was very impressed with the kind of work I was doing. She was happy because I was prompt in my response to her concerns about pain, and I was able to explain things to her very well. And she believes that I'm very knowledgeable, and so on and so forth. And all was good because we are like praises, and we are happy as nurses when patients feel like you have helped them. So this conversation kept going on until the patient said something that got my attention, and it just changed the course of my emotions, or it just blew my emotions out of the water. This is meant to be something straightforward that I believe a lot of nurses have heard before, which is, have you considered becoming a doctor? So this patient just asked that question, and I asked, why do you ask that question? And then she said, I think you are a good nurse and you sound very intelligent and you are compassionate about your work, so I think that you'll be a good doctor. Guys, so when the patient said this, I just laughed. I was quite surprised, but I laughed, and I told the patient, no, I don't have any such interest in being a doctor. And this whole thing, I just had to leave and attend to other patients. But it got me thinking, which is why I'm making this video, and I'm asking that, why do people believe or think that the climax of a successful nursing career is medicine, or is becoming a medical doctor? I know people think that doctors and nurses work in the hospital and so they are doing the same job or similar jobs, but it's two different skill sets, two entirely different skill sets. Like the doctor spends an hour or two at most with a patient, but the nurse spends 12 hours, and every continuous time or at every different hour, the nurse is having an interaction with the patient. So the skill sets are not identical at all. Like, you need to be a people person, someone who is very good with people skills. You like to talk to people to be a great nurse. I don't know much about what a doctor needs, but I think that they also have some patient skills, but it's not as much as what a nurse has to do. Which is why I think that, this concern or this impression that when a nurse is good, they have to upgrade, okay, or improve themselves to become a doctor. It's very strange and shocking to me. And I don't know what you guys have experienced, but let me know in the comment section. But I believe that some of you have experienced that as well. And I just think I should say a thing or two about this whole thing, that being a good nurse is not a panacea, or it's not a guarantee that you'll become a great doctor. As a matter of fact, your performance in medicine will not be determined by how well you performed as a nurse. And that's the first point. But in all of this, I think some things do stand out. The thing is about interests, okay? Because people will always give you suggestions. They will always urge you on. They'll give you ideas. Sometimes they'll even push you literally to do things that may not necessarily align with your interest. I've had people ask me whether I want to become a preacher because they feel like I can really speak well and inspire people. When I was in nursing school, I used to be this firebrand Christian. I even had a gospel group called Shiloh Gospel Mission where we're preaching and all of that. But I don't want to be a preacher. I just want to do what I feel is spiritual or God's work. When I was in my infancy, in my early years, I wanted to be a lawyer. But growing up, my interests have switched and have changed. I know people who have interest in opening a barbering salon. Some people want to open a med spa. Some nurses want to start an NCLEX study prep materials. Some nurses want to open a nursing home or an adult family home, and so on and so forth. Some nurses want to open a nursing school. And I think that what's important in all of this is that you have a destination, and the career that you find yourself in is meant to be the vehicle that leads you to that destination. Some nurses just want to be a nursing manager or a director of nursing services, and so working as a nurse is the vehicle that's going to get them there. And let me use the analogy of a gym center or a fitness center, and I like to use that analogy a lot. I like using analogies because I feel like it explains things better. So when you go to the gym or a fitness center, there are several equipments there. Each one of those equipment can help you achieve a specific fitness goal. So if you want to build muscle, when you go into the fitness center, you don't go to the treadmill, you go to the dumbbells. And then when you go to the dumbbells, even at that place, you have to start from a certain level. You start from the smallest, and then as you progress, you go to the much heavier level, and then you go to the heaviest, up to the extent to which your body can handle. If your goal is to improve upon your cardio, you don't go to the dumbbell, you go to the treadmill. When you go to the treadmill, you don't start at speed 7 or speed 10. You have to start from 2, and then you graduate to 4, and then you go to 7, and so on and so forth. If you want to strengthen your core, you go to the elliptical ball and you do your cycles. If you want to become flexible, you go and take a yoga mat and do your stretching. It's a whole spectrum of equipment in a gym center. Each of those equipment is serving as a vehicle to help you achieve your fitness goals. And I think that's how our professions are, or our careers are. Like, it doesn't matter how fast you are going if you're not in the wrong direction, because your interest is what is going to determine your direction. You know, this man, Steve Covey, wrote a book, The 7 Habits of Highly Effective People, which I think it's quite a revealing book. And he said that, like, think of life or your progression in your career as a ladder. And then you could climb to the top. And then once you get to the top, you realize that the ladder that you are climbing is leaning against the wrong building, or it's leaning against the wrong wall. Which is like saying that you don't want to be a nurse or you don't want to be a doctor, but you start from the ground level and then you get to the top and realize that I'm a top doctor, but I never enjoyed this whole process because this is not what I want to do. And so the interest has to be that overriding principle. Some people like to call it the North Star. So the interest in the profession, which is what will determine the trajectory that you take, should be the driving star, not necessarily the suggestions of friends, family, patients, and all of that, because it's becoming one too many. I mean, I've been a nurse for 10 years and over, and I've had people, this is not the first time a patient has suggested this to me. I mean, I've worked in 3 countries and I've changed up like 4 times, and I've had patients tell me this over and over again, like, have you thought of being a doctor? Even my auntie told me several times. My auntie, who was a motivation for me becoming a nurse. I mean, she was working with international agencies and she motivated me to become a nurse. And then afterwards she said, have you considered becoming a doctor? But I mean, I was happy to be a nurse because I studied from your example and I'm finding fulfillment in this job. I know that along the line, I'll definitely leave the profession at some point in time. That's a given because that's the normal progression of life. But why do people think that, I mean, the most linear progression of a nurse who is doing well is to becoming a doctor? Guys, I don't know what you guys think about this, but it's quite funny to me. And I think that the earlier we disabuse our minds of this whole quest for nurses to upgrade to become doctors, okay, the better we are going to get nurses who are fully committed to their role and stick to the job they are doing. And beyond that, nurses are going to find much more happiness when they see their career as enough, satisfying, and gaining the best public respect that it can get. I mean, recently I was reading this article and it was talking about the rankings of the professions in the health sector in the US. And for like 4 years in a row, nurses were ranked the most trusted by all the patients surveyed. And the profession that came second was doctors, but it was a distant second. I mean, many points behind nurses. And I feel like the societal prestige of being a doctor and the monetary gains is one of the few things that doctors have. But if money is the case, then there are several ways nurses can make money. I mean, I know nurses who have other businesses. Like I know a nurse who started an adult family home. and she tells me that she has about 10 patients that she's taking care of, and she's making well over $40,000 every month. Okay, I know a travel nurse, I interviewed a travel nurse who makes about $250,000 a year, okay, working 36 hours. And this is with travel rates even dropping to this level. And he's a nurse. I know a nurse who has an IV hydration business. I mean, very common, very popular on Twitter and YouTube, and she's making a lot of millions. I know a nurse who makes NCLEX study prep materials. She was interviewed by Forbes and Time magazines, and in the first year of the business, she made well over $2 million. There's another one who has made well over $11 million along the course of the career that she's been also doing nursing school study guides and stuff like that. So if money is the motivation, there are several ways as a nurse that you can make money than becoming a doctor, and so on and so forth. It's really a lot of things, you know. Now then, the last strand of things I'll talk about is commitment, debt in school, and then age. You know, if you become a doctor, I mean, if I become a doctor, the question I ask myself is, will I be happy just going to see patients, write medications, and help them get recovery, and that's it? Is that what I want my life to be about? And the answer is an echoing no, a very loud one. And that's the question that people should ask themselves when these suggestions come that seem to push you and nudge you in a certain direction, because you need to enjoy what you're doing to be committed. The reason why people feel like you are a good nurse, which I believe most of you have been told, oh, I think you are a great nurse, is because you enjoy talking to people and helping people achieve wellness within the realm of being a nurse, okay? And that's why you are a good nurse. If you transition to becoming a doctor or a pharmacist and you are not enjoying that, but you just do it because of the prestige and the money, obviously your commitments will not be up there, because those jobs are very hard jobs. And I mean, respect to all of those professionals like doctors and pharmacists, it's hard, but you need to be committed to it and enjoy it so that you can be your best, the best version of yourself. Another thing is the debt involved in becoming a doctor. I mean, if you go to a university like the Washington State University, which is a state university, a public university, you realize that annually you're going to be paying about $100,000, and the medical school is going to be about a 10-year period. And so by the time you finish, you would have racked up about $1 million worth of debt from medical school, if you are going by the fact that you spend about 8 to 10 years in medical school to become a specialized doctor, to come out and practice. And the question you're asking yourself is that most people who are going to pursue medicine as a second degree, after they've been a nurse for like 3, 4, 5 years or 10 years like myself, you realize that by the time you come out of medical school, you'll be someone like me, you'll be 44 or 45 years. And then you have kids, and you have a family, and then you have $1 million debt service. And there is a place of doing extra shifts to raise money to pay your debt and all of that. But the point when your age is advanced, working excessive hours is not your ally, because you'll be sacrificing your health and ultimately longevity to be able to pay off the debt so that you can come back and work in medicine if that's not what you actually enjoy. You're coming to do a job that you don't enjoy after you sacrifice a lot of your health and a lot of things. And so ultimately you need to, as it is, make a very good decision about your profession and find happiness in what you're doing as a nurse. And don't take it for granted. Nursing is a highly prestigious job. It is very fulfilling, and it gives a very good standard of living. I know that disillusionment of a lot of nurses in the face of the several challenges that they are facing in recent times is one of the reasons why a lot of nurses are thinking of quitting the profession and all of that. But overall, nurses are respected, nurses are paid well, nursing gives you satisfaction, and I don't think it's a career that you're going to regret staying in forever. Even though I don't think that I'll be in this forever. Not to become a doctor, but definitely to pursue something that I'll have interest in. And so in conclusion, I mean, that's so much for a short video, but I'll conclude by saying, with something that Dan Cole, who's also a writer and YouTuber, said that, you know, everyone has a voice, the one voice that whispers, keep going. You don't have to end up like the rest. Listen to it. It's a shame when great potential is wasted because you let someone else's voice be louder than your own. And this is how I'll conclude the video. I hope this video makes sense to you somehow. And if it doesn't, just pardon me. I'm quite exhausted. I just came back from work. And I thought I should say this before I go back to bed. But thank you for watching. And I'll catch you in the next video. Peace.